Florence here, and welcome back to another book recommendation video. This is not just a book recommendation video, it is also a video for all the aspiring writers out there. Today I am going to be recommending books for aspiring authors, aspiring writers, authors, creative storytellers of all types. So let's get right into it. First up we have Spilling Ink by Anne Mazer and Ellen Potter. This is the book you're looking for, guys. Moms and dads, parents, grandparents, if you are looking for a book for your young aspiring writer in your family who is 13 or under, this is the book for you. I cannot recommend it highly enough. It is packed with incredible advice on the creative process, all about storytelling, characters, plot, pretty much a guidebook to everything young authors need to know, and it's presented in a warm, funny storytelling voice by these two authors, Anne Mazer and Ellen Potter. I read this book when I was about 13 and I absolutely fell in love with it. It is just such an incredible first book on writing for any child who loves storytelling. It's broken up into smaller sections with big headings, which makes it really digestible for a younger reader. It's also filled with illustrations and dares with writing prompts. It's a sweet, must-have book for all young writers. Number 2, we have Creating Character Arcs by K.M. Wheeland. This is a pretty basic book, but it's also pretty essential. Basically, it is everything you need to know about character arcs based on one of the most popular story structures, the 3-act story structure. It goes through positive change character arcs, negative change character arcs, and flat character arcs, all in detail with story case studies. It's incredibly helpful if you don't know where to start on character arcs. Obviously, it's based off of a story structure, so don't take anything in it too seriously because it's all based off of a formula, and not all stories have to go by a formula, but it's a great jumping off point, and you will learn a ton about human psychology and storytelling through reading this book. K.M. Wheeland does not leave anything out. Everything she writes in here is very detailed. Even if you're a seasoned author, there will be things in here you have not heard before, which are super fascinating. All in all, a comprehensive guide on character arc. The next book we have is Fight Right by Carla Hope. I love Carla in general. She is the author of the blog Fight Right, which I've been following for a while, and as soon as she had a book out, I knew I had to grab it because her writing is so good. Even in a nonfiction format, she is funny and witty and so smart, and this is literally everything you need to know about writing fight scenes. But not just fight scenes, also injuries, battles, chase scenes. I mean, literally anything you can think of that involves action sequences. It's primarily based in fighting, but even if you don't have fight scenes in your books, like me, I don't have a lot because I write middle grade, so I have to keep things pretty clean. But even if you don't have a lot of fight scenes, you'll still learn a lot of valuable stuff about injuries and fight or flight mode in our brain. Carla is super knowledgeable and this guide is comprehensive. It talks about psychological warfare, war, one-on-one fighting, pretty much any fighting you could think of, and if she doesn't cover it in the book, you can bet she probably will have covered it on her blog, which is a lot bigger. I will definitely link that down below. It has tons of incredible resources for all authors who want to write fight scenes. And even if you're not writing a book, honestly, you will probably find this book very entertaining. Carla's writing is super fun to read. Next up we have The Roar on the Other Side by Suzanne U. Rhodes. This is a book about writing poetry. You don't see a lot of those out there because, you know, poetry is so often put in this sort of class of, oh, anything goes and there aren't really any rules. And that can make it a bit mystifying about, you know, what makes a good poem and how do I even start if I want to start writing poetry. This book demystifies it all. And don't get me wrong, it's not just like a book full of rules for writing poetry. It explores the different forms of poetry, but it also explores free verse and tricks you can do to give your words a certain sound. Even if you don't write poetry, it's probably a really good guide for writing prose. as an author because it talks about the aesthetic that different words and styles of writing and punctuation can give to words, and it helps you understand the balance of it all and why you would choose one thing over another when writing poetry, which is super helpful when I feel like the subject of poetry and writing it is sort of just like, go write it, do whatever you want, which is a bit difficult. Not that I don't love do what you want approaches, especially when you're starting out, but if you really want to take it to the next level, definitely pick up this book because it is a lovely, lovely book. It's full of poetry, case studies, and tips on getting ideas for poems, and just in general, everything a young poet needs to know. Last but very far from least, we have the Emotion Thesaurus by Angela Ackerman and Becca Pugsley. This book, oh my goodness, where do I even start? This is not a nonfiction book about writing per se, as in it is not something you would start at the beginning of and read all the way to the end. It is what it says it is. It's a thesaurus. It has an entry for pretty much any emotion you can think of. For example, disbelief. And it has the definition of the emotion, the physical signals and behaviors, big long list of those, internal sensations for when you're writing from the character's point of view, mental responses, acute or long-term responses for this emotion, signs that this emotion is being suppressed, what this emotion may escalate to, what it may de-escalate to, associated power verbs, and tips on writing characters experiencing this emotion. Pretty much, if you ever have trouble with the rule show don't tell and you're saying he was angry, she was mad, he was sad, this will help you so much. From defiant to despair to disgust to jealousy, loneliness, moody, moved, nostalgia, obsessed, overwhelmed, panicked, peacefulness. Pretty much every emotion you can think of, it will have tips for. I would recommend this book certainly to any and all writers. There's also a series of other thesauruses about other things besides emotion, but I haven't checked them out yet. I'm sure they're very helpful too. This is a book I find extremely helpful for when I'm editing something. When I'm first drafting, I just like to let it all go, but in second or third drafts, it's really helpful to go back, and if there are places where I'm feeling stuck, or if I'm not really sure how to explain what the character is feeling without doing a lot of telling, this helps me out a lot. Another kind of weird thing, you know, with this book as it comes to being a writer, is you'll get a lot more in tune with your own emotions. To recap, if you're looking for a book for a young aspiring writer in your family, give them Spilling Ink. If you're looking for a book for a young poet, check out The Roar on the Other Side. If you want a comprehensive guide for all things fight scenes and injuries, check out Fight Right. If you want to learn more about character arcs, then Creating Character Arcs is for you. And if you're working on showing and not telling emotion, or if you're a writer at all, this book is definitely for you. That's all the books I have for you guys today. I hope you check them out and that you enjoy them. If you have any other recommendations for books for aspiring authors, writers, young writers, all the things, leave them in the comments below because I would love some more books to put on my TBR list about reading and writing. If you're an aspiring author and you want some tips, not from a book, but from a video, I have made a video just for you, and that is tips for aspiring authors. If you want to check out more of my book recommendation videos on middle grade books in genres such as fantasy, contemporary, all the things, you can find those up above. I am the teen author of Honey Butter and Lydia Green, novels for middle graders, and if you want to check them out, learn more, or follow me along on all my author adventures, be sure to hit subscribe to learn more. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you guys soon. That's all for now. Millie Florence, signing out.